I mean, we could debate that forever and ever. Is Ali or Lewis, who is the best heavyweight of all time? But I think I don't know. I always have such sadness over the fact that we never got to see Ali fight from 67 to 71.
Yeah, it's true. Those 3 years where he protested the Vietnam War, in many ways, that cemented Ali's legacy because he was such a cultural icon that he was like, you know what, fuck you. I'm not going to Vietnam. You guys are out of your fucking minds. No Viet Cong ever said anything bad to me. I'm not going to Vietnam and killing people. Fuck you. And they just removed him from boxing. They wouldn't let him box for years. And by the time he boxed again, people were so happy to see him again because they knew he was right. They knew that war was bullshit. They knew it was wrong. And he became who he was. When he fought Cleveland Big Cat Williams.
I was just about to say, that is the greatest display of, in any division, any weight, at any time. Just watch Ali versus Williams, November 1966. You can find that full fight on YouTube. It's in pretty decent resolution.
We've played it multiple times on this podcast.
It is insane. I'll tell you a funny story. So I used to have in my old office in San Diego a big art print on the wall of that fight.
Oh, wow.
So of the knockout punch. So one day, it was a Friday afternoon, one of my analysts was in my office, and we were, at the time, he's probably like 25 years old, right? And we're doing something, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know what made me think this, but I looked up at the picture and I was like, hey, do you know who that is? And he's like, is that Muhammad Ali? And I was like, yeah, that's Muhammad Ali. Like, isn't it interesting that you wouldn't immediately recognize that? And I explained the significance, and I said, that's him knocking out this guy named Cleveland Williams, and this is the whole story of Cleveland Williams. And I said, let's pull up the fight, and we watch the fight. It's a 3-round fight. The next day, Ali died.
Wow.
So I emailed him the next morning because I found out that morning. I was like, hey, Dan, just so you know, Muhammad Ali died last night. How weird is that?
That is weird. He was a cautionary tale, right? Because the amount of punishment that he endured late in his life, and to see him with Parkinson's. I remember having this argument with someone who said, no, he's got Parkinson's. It has nothing to do with boxing. I was, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what what are you examining him? Like, why are you saying, you just don't want it to have anything to do with him. You watch his fight with Larry Holmes. Tell me you don't think that he endured brain damage in that fight. Watch his fight with, who else?
Well, so basically everything.
Trevor Berbick.
Yeah, Trevor Berbick, even Leon Spinks.
Yeah.
And certainly Holmes. He never should have fought after he should have retired after Foreman. Because the beatings he took thereafter, and in fact, going into the Holmes fight, his doctor, by that point, Ferdy Pacheco had left. He couldn't stand it anymore. So Ferdy Pacheco was no longer his doctor.
Oh, really?
No. He was like, this is so unethical. I cannot be involved. What you guys are doing to this man is inhumane. And of course, what was his manager's name at this point? Herbert Muhammad. Remember, the son of Elijah Muhammad was still his manager. And they had pumped him so full of T4, levothyroxine, thyroid medication, to speed up his metabolism. Like, he went into that fight basically with exophthalmos. His eyes were like basically bulging out of his head. He was so hyperthyroid in that fight. Like, they could have killed him, right? Like, they could have just killed him because he would have had an arrhythmia.
Why did they do that? Was he overweight? Why'd they do that with T4?
They just had this belief that, he needs more thyroid hormone to, speed up his metabolism. And of course, he's always going into camp overweight at this point.
Yeah.
And needs more energy, right? So the thinking is, well, more thyroid hormone will make him, make him have more energy. But, I remember reading one of the biographies of Ali. I think might have been Thomas Hauser's biography, where he goes into pretty good detail on the state of his medical care at the end of his career and just how horrible it was.
God, it's a story as old as time. The fighter that keeps hanging on.